Welcome to The Debate. Our focus today, well, it really transcends the fast food counter. We're here to look at the global system of McDonald's, not just as a business, but as a kind of operational blueprint, a reference model that, codified how modern service economies structure themselves.
And that is exactly where the discussion has to start. This system, it's built on this imperative for radical, predictable, repeatable efficiency. And that template permeates so far beyond restaurants. It influences everything from, logistics networks to even how we think about accountability in nonprofits.
So the central question we have to address then is structural. Does the radical efficiency required for McDonald's global scale inherently produce, irreconcilable tensions between organizational success, so profitability, ubiquity, and what we might call human or cultural value? I'm going to argue that this rationalization delivers essential, reliable goods, stability, and unparalleled accessibility to a global public.
And I, conversely, will maintain that this very rationalization necessitates constant, often painful trade-offs. It actively diminishes the quality of the labor experience, it can undermine local culture, and it sacrifices qualitative depth just for quantitative scale. And these aren't flaws in the system. They are the inherent, non-negotiable costs of such a calculated structure.
The triumph of this system is rooted entirely in its operational foundation. You have to go back to the original speedy service system, which Ray Kroc later scaled through this rigorous adherence to quality, service, and cleanliness, the QSC principles. To understand its power, you have to appreciate just how revolutionary this rationalization was. It codified every single step, from the exact grill time for the burger to standardized potato cutting. It just eliminated the need for skilled craft labor. This standardization is, sociologically speaking, a major positive force in globalization. And why? Because it delivers predictability and low-cost access everywhere. A customer takes this, profound psychological comfort in knowing the Egg McMuffin they ordered today, whether it's in New York, Seoul, or Berlin, will be basically identical to the one they ordered last year. That security, that predictability, is a core offering. And, operational excellence just keeps accelerating through technology. For instance, recent AI pilots at the drive-thru showed service time dropping by 27 seconds, which increased hourly car throughput by 10%, and it pushed order accuracy up to 93%. This is undeniable value creation.
I see why you think that. I really do. But I would frame the system's reliance on what sociologists call calculability as inherently problematic. Calculability doesn't just mean speed. It means privileging quantity and speed measurable outcomes over, human craft and qualitative depth. The systematic reduction of complexity, which is absolutely necessary for this model to replicate globally, it just comes at a very steep structural cost to labor. When the system de-skills work to make sure anyone can do the job with minimal training, it makes that worker interchangeable. And this results in the systematic characterization of fast food work as poorly compensated, high turnover, precarious, and structurally unfriendly to employee organization. This isn't an accident. It's baked into the model's need for flexibility and low fixed costs. We see this tension very clearly in international labor relations. In, say, EU countries like Germany and France, where there are strong mechanisms for employee representation, McDonald's has consistently been able to find loopholes, like defining individual franchises as small businesses, which lets them bypass collective bargaining thresholds in national law. This demonstrates a deep structural resistance to genuine human capital investment. While the global success is undeniable, I think that success requires us to look beneath the golden arches themselves. I'd like to shift our focus now to where that uniformity, that standardization, where it breaks down when it makes contact with local culture. The system's quest for perfect homogeneous replication fractures the moment it hits real local resistance. So the corporation is constantly forced into the strategic tension between rigid standardization and just, market survival. Consider the architectural mandates in places like the American Southwest. In Sedona, Arizona, because of these strict local design codes, McDonald's was forced to use teal arches instead of the iconic golden yellow. In Santa Fe, New Mexico, all the locations have to conform to the Pueblo Revival architectural style. This is, an almost absurd degree of compromise,
The most visible, globally recognized symbol of the brand, the golden arches, is sacrificed simply to secure a footprint. And this reveals a central structural limitation. The system has to compromise its calculated visual identity to maintain its calculated logistical identity.
That's an interesting point, though I would frame it a bit differently. The ability to think global, act local, isn't a sign of the system's structural failure. I'd say it's proof of its highly adaptive strength and, frankly, sophisticated governance. The core operational standard, the QSC principles, the kitchen layout, the food prep processes, that remains globally identical. I remember a marketing executive toured a Beijing kitchen and remarked that the internal operations, so the flow, the cleanliness, the speed, were structurally identical to those in the US. The system's rigidity is where it counts most, consistency and safety. So localization is focused strategically on the periphery, on marketing and product selection. We see this with, hugely successful regional products like the McArabia in the Middle East, the Croque McDo in France, or the McVeggie burger in India.
Brand globally, advertise locally. This flexibility actually reinforces the brand's global appeal by securing local relevance. It shows the system is structurally sound enough to tolerate heterogeneity as long as the operational core remains rationalized.
But these adaptations reveal the profound limitations of pure rationalization. The more the core American product has to adjust, say using pita-style bread for the McArabia instead of the standardized bun, the more the specifically calculated appeal of that American homogeneity is diminished. The system is perpetually grappling with a costly tension. Homogeneity gives the consumer the security you champion, absolutely, but heterogeneity provides cultural meaning. And the system can never resolve this. It only manages it as an ongoing, expensive conflict. Every teal arch is basically an admission that pure rationalization cannot fully conquer human or cultural demands.
I'm not entirely convinced by that because I think the system creates opportunity and innovation that far outweighs the costs of that compromise. The system is designed to reward certain types of human endeavor. The most iconic menu offerings, the Big Mac and the Egg McMuffin, they came directly from franchisee innovation. Ray Kroc's franchising philosophy wasn't about crushing the human spirit. It was centered on ensuring franchisee success first. He established what he called a culture of accountability that balances those strict operational standards with the entrepreneurial spirit you need for growth. And look at the supply chain model. McDonald's relies on what's often called a vested outsourcing model with its key suppliers. Because these partners have long-term non-transactional relationships with the company, often decades long, they're willing to invest huge amounts into new processing technologies and rigorous quality standards. They set the industry benchmark. This structure harnesses human enterprise toward a collective, rationalized goal.
Sure, yet the entrepreneurial success of a few at the top, which I do acknowledge, at the franchisee and supplier level, that can't obscure the systematic de-skilling of the labor force performing the day-to-day tasks. The core principle of calculability means the work itself becomes a series of measurable, fast, low-variable actions. The system requires workers to focus entirely on quantitative aspects, speed, volume, because the qualitative aspects of the product are already structurally constrained. An individual worker can't improve the product through craft. They can only execute the prescribed steps faster. And this metric-driven approach is key to understanding why McDonald's is such a reference model, because it forces abstract human concepts into quantifiable goals. This influence jumps the system entirely. Sociologists have even observed this structure applied to community organizations like the famous Black McChurch example.
In that system, the success of the spiritual mission was often defined by counting repeatable, visible actions like hands raised for salvation, rather than, internal qualitative change. The desire for a measurable, predictable tally, a fast food style throughput, sometimes resulted in people being counted multiple times. The model defines success by counting what's visible, even when the underlying reality is far more complex. That is the flaw of prioritizing calculability.
The logical response to de-skilling tedious tasks, though, is automation, which actually supports human capital reallocation. The ongoing move toward advanced tech, including AI for inventory control, predictive maintenance, cutting equipment outages by 60%, and workforce scheduling optimization, is the next logical step. This isn't about crushing labor. It's about streamlining the back-of-house to free up human workers from tedious, repetitive tasks. This allows the organization to focus its human workers on service quality and social interaction, which is the variable component that's adapted to local communities. The optimization it benefits everyone by lowering systemic costs, reducing waste, and providing the economic foundation for the global expansion that creates opportunity across diverse markets. High volume requires high efficiency.
I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that the new efficiency paradigm benefits the worker. The optimization benefits the system's governance, but often at the expense of autonomy. While AI takes over inventory, the remaining human tasks become subject to intense monitoring. When you cut outages by 60% and improve scheduling precision, you are simultaneously increasing the pressure on the remaining staff to perform flawlessly within that tightly constrained, metric-driven environment. AI optimization ultimately shifts the risk. By eliminating systems lag and maximizing throughput, the system demands that human workers become the flexible component who has to absorb the stress of high-demand operations. The qualitative aspect of their work shifts from task execution to stress absorption and managing customer complaints, all while their movement and speed are being digitally monitored to ensure conformity to the new, tighter standard. The core structural tension remains. Efficiency demands calculability, and calculability resists unconstrained human experience.
McDonald's systemic success, in the end, is a testament to the power of rationalized organization. It continually evolves through technology and adaptive governance to deliver unparalleled value and consistency globally. The model is deeply rooted in the promise of stability, low-cost access, and predictability, and it persists precisely because it offers concrete, measurable benefits that billions of consumers rely on.
But the structural debates we have explored, between that drive for calculable efficiency and the pressure for human engagement, between global standardization and necessary local demands, these are inherent to any vast, highly rationalized system. The continued existence of McDonald's demonstrates not that these tensions are solved, but that different individuals and societies perpetually weigh the structural trade-offs between efficiency and qualitative depth very, very differently.
And these ongoing debates, I think they reveal something fundamental about the relationship between modern rational structures and the complexities of human society. The questions of what is gained through stability and accessibility, and what is lost through qualitative depth and unconstrained human experience, well, they are never fully settled.